What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have an amazing individual, good friend of mine. He is a tremendous entrepreneur all the way from New York and located in West Palm Beach. This man goes back and forth everywhere. This guy is crushing it. He is the co-founder and CEO of Nutsola. Guys, I'm telling you, if you haven't tried this, well, you better get to it because it is addicting. Please help me welcome the one and only Adam Kukoff. What's up, brother?
Hey guys, how's it going, man? Just thanks for having me. It's been a little crazy ride, since we first met, but making things happen.
So where'd you guys meet at?
And why?
In New York, was it at Sweat 411? Was that
440?
440.
Shout out Cody Patrick.
He actually we were renting, right? You were
Yeah, so the guy that owns Sweat 440, Cody Patrick, and there's another guy too. Cody actually had a gym above the Sweat 440 here, like the original one in South Beach. Right. He had a private gym up above it that I used to train out of.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. I think I remember meeting him that day. I apologize for not saying the name right, but haven't been able to go to gyms lately, so kind of out of the loop there.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time for all of us, I think, right? Like everyone within, we were talking off camera about, the food industry, the fitness industry, kind of the same thing, up and down, different areas, being open, being closed, having different regulations. It's definitely been a challenging time for everyone, I think.
100%.
And you guys were definitely talking about Syracuse off camera.
You notice how I made sure that our logo and our sign is orange.
That's what I was saying. You got the orange going, so
at least it's part of my Dolphins color, so at least I'm happy about that.
Hey, the Dolphins just smoked my Jets, so it's Jets just get killed by every team.
So what do you think now? What do you think about this choice that now the Dolphins did, where they claim Tua going to be the starter now? What's his whole take?
I don't like
hates it.
I don't like it because I've been starting Ryan Fitzpatrick on my fantasy team, and
he's been having
one of his best seasons. Playing well. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm only disappointed from him just because I thought he kind of turned the corner of, building this winning, this team that can make the playoffs, and he's the leader. He's the clear leader. And Tua, who knows with his injury, with his leg, he's not that same mobile quarterback until he gets hit, so. No doubt he's the long-term franchise quarterback. It's just the timing was kind of weird.
I think they should have let Fitzpatrick just run this season. Just let him run through this season. That's and this is coming from a Dolphin fan, but obviously I get the point where you gotta get your rookie some reps, but I think you can squeeze it in at some parts of the game towards the end. Try to get him some repetitions in there, and obviously if this Fitzpatrick's having off game or something, throw him in there. But I think the way Fitzpatrick was playing, I think like you said, definitely to push towards the playoffs, this was definitely the better opportunity rolling with Ryan.
And how do you hate the bearded quarterback from Harvard with the perfect Wonderlic? It's like it's tough to hate Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, you probably have a different. You probably have a different perspective.
He did start with you guys for the Jets.
He was awesome. We didn't make the playoffs because we haven't made the playoffs for like 10 years, but we had a great run that year. I remember beating Brady in overtime, and he's just one of those guys that just brings so much energy to the team. And now it feels like it kind of got sucked out after his press conference.
It's so funny that he's played on all his division rivals practically. Except
New England, yeah.
Nice.
I grew up a Bills fan. So I understand your pain.
You had Fitzpatrick too as a Bills fan.
Yeah. His two, I guess, best runs were Buffalo and the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then Miami until now, I guess.
Until now, yeah. Unfortunate.
We'll definitely have to see what's going to happen with that. But brother, I wanted to dive in and ask you about your business. I wanted to ask you about how are things operating? How are things running for you? I know that it's been a while since we chat, before even COVID started. So I would love to just hear, some of the creative ways that you've been able to still put your brand out there. Cause it's an amazing, delicious brand. It's so addictive.
Every time he brings it in, I steal the whole bag from him.
Oh, dude.
I steal the whole bag.
I love hearing that.
No, the banana flavor, the cacao flavor, the vanilla flavor, the pumpkin flavor, the peanut. Oh my God. Forget it. I literally grab a bowl. I'll put milk or yogurt and I'll tear the whole thing down. I have to tell Jenny to hide the bags because if not, I'll eat the whole bag.
And that's obviously not a lie. He's telling her.
No, he knows I eat. So
listen, I've heard that before from people. You got to keep it, maybe in a safe or something, to keep it really, so no one touches it. But, the business has kind of flipped upside down when it was February and we actually were launching our first retail store, Air One Market in LA. So if you don't know Air One Market, it's like the most amazing natural food store, 5 locations, and they just opened up a 6th. But we were so fortunate with them because they allowed us as a small brand to work with them directly instead of like going through like a major distributor. And that's like the huge advantage of Air One. So I was out in California. I was doing demos. I was literally living from Airbnb to Airbnb, hopping around and just sampling the product. And, literally that was the main strategy, just get people to sample and then buy in the store. And we were doing really well the first 2 weeks. And then you start to hear these rumors of COVID and like, what is this? Is this real? And then it was March. That's when they canceled the Natural Food Expo. And that's like the biggest thing I was about to attend, where you can meet with all these distributors, retailers across the country. And when I came back, came back to New Jersey it was in March, and then all of a sudden everything got shut down. So our retail strategy is just like, wow, like, traffic just died in stores temporarily. And it was just like, how do we get a new brand in, on the shelf and have it not just to get on the shelf, but expect it to move and sell. And that's the difficulty where, I think the food business lies. But I think fortunately we started a year before this. And like when I was with you at the event, say New York, like just sampling the product, us doing farmers markets, week after week for an entire year, testing the product, or going to like events, like we used to do these vegan events, pretty much across like New York, New Jersey, or Florida. And that was the biggest part early on with our business, because we have the tangible product and people can try it, and they have such an emotional feeling when you have a food item that you like and you can remember that. Like just think of any item that you've tried in, your life, and you'll remember 15 years ago that you hated this type of food, or you had it, and you're just like, you just have that type of memory with food. So, for us, that was like our main strategy. And with COVID, it was like, now you have to kind of like change everything.
Well, definitely. I know the good thing, at least you guys are online, so, definitely I would say, I'm sure that's helped, but
definitely
with all that going on, how are you able to still get your product in front of people? How were you able to still get people to sample it if they were sampling it, or how were you able to get people to actually take notice of this in an in-person way, where they're able to test this out and try this out?
Yeah. So, for one, I've always put an emphasis on our social media. While we're still, still a small brand, like creating kind of like an engaging platform where we can talk to our customers and people can get really creative with our product. If you've checked out our social media, you'll see that about like our pages. But as far as like trying the product, we did some kind of creative things where fortunately we partnered with like a third-party app. For instance, like Sweatcoin, which is a pretty cool app where they like have their own currency, essentially the sweat coins, and they can use the sweat coins to buy like an offer. So essentially we
cool.
Damn.
We partnered with them.
Sweatcoin, sweat it out.
Great.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, no, it's legit. It's a great platform, and it helped us get the product to close to 1,000 people.
That's amazing.
To try the product. We've been starting in the New York area. We've been starting to do sealed sample cups in stores, so that's been able to help drive sales as well.
That's great.
But,
yeah, I haven't heard of that one yet. That's actually a great idea. Not that I sell anything in a store but yeah. I have a couple of questions. One, I want to kind of dive into, what made you come up with the idea to start the company of Nutsola? And before we kind of dive into that, because I'm sure that's going to take a while, you mentioned that it was actually really nice that you were able to work with a, you know, producer to retail store instead of going through the big wholesalers. And I've heard this a lot with, especially like clothing, you know, clothing companies. What is it that makes it so difficult when you have to go through these big retail stores or these big retail companies?
Right. So, which way you want me to answer the first one about how it like kind of got started?
Answer the second one, and then we'll go back to how Nutsola got started.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the main difficulty when you're dealing with the major retailers is really the distribution. So if you think about, you know, say there's like 500 Whole Foods across the country, like how do you get your product efficiently and selling in all 500? Like there's no physical way possible you could do this through, you know, basically you just distribute yourself. So you have to use essentially a distributor. And there's many different types of distributors. There's distributors, geographical distributors, where say they're only in like, say, you know, Miami, you know, up to like Orlando or Northeast. But many times these distributors are the ones that have the efficiency and they have the connections with these stores.
Okay, awesome.
No, that's interesting. I was gonna add to that. So with the distributors, cost wise, how does that work for you guys and on their end as well? Obviously, you don't have to give specific numbers, but how does that work and how does it become a win-win scenario for everybody so that way you guys are still able to survive?
Well, you really just have to know your margins. So, you know, going into, even without using a distributor, you have to account for distribution. Like, so if I'm selling to like even like a farmer's market, like I need to know what is my margin if I had to sell to a distributor and then the distributor then sells to a retailer. You know, you have to put that into play. There's no way you can go into business without understanding, you know, the supply chain model of kind of what you're doing.
Have you ever had a distributor disappear with your product?
No, I mean, we're working with currently 3 distributors, but no, I mean, there's never been a situation like that. But you have to be careful because
I've heard, that's why I asked.
You know, you have to be on top of it. You can't, also you have to know who the distributor is. I mean, there's distributors that are literally just liquidators and all they want to do is just sell your product to say like a Marshall's. They don't care. They'll sell it cheapest price. And then the next thing you know, your product is half the price at a store and people are wondering like what happened to this brand? Like, why is it like half the price? Like that diminishes the value of the brand. So you have to be I'm very cautious of that. It doesn't matter how much sales I have to make sure that, you know, the integrity of the brand is always there.
Makes sense.
All right, into my next question now, because this is really what's intriguing me is how did you get started? What made you and your business partners, like what made you guys, you know, get into the business that you're in and come up with the product of Nutsola?
Because we're all fat boys and we like to eat.
I'll smash all of that. I'll smash all.
So my dad was actually, he made it in the house for years. So he first developed like the Nutsola mixture, it's probably in like 2012. And he was just making for the family. There was no like business in mind at all. And for years, I never thought of it as a business because I didn't really want to get into such a competitive space. But what was different about our product is that my dad was making this mixture and the whole concept was to eat clean and stay away from added sugar.
Which is a huge problem with granolas, right? It's like all, you know, everyone's like, oh, well, it's healthy, right? It's like, well, did you look at what the ingredients are? And then they're like, there's like 50 grams of sugar. Like what?
Yeah, I think it's granola, but it's almost every product you see. I mean, you can go to the supermarket, you just look at the ingredients list and you're going to see most products have added sugar or some, you know, chemical sounding ingredients, which it's just, I've always cared about it. And I know I'm not the majority here, but I think people want to know what's in their food. And, you know, that's really important. So my dad he was making like from the mixture, he was making like his own like energy bars. So they were like these fresh bars he was making at home. And he was just like basically adding some water to the mix. He would like fold it together and then he would essentially dehydrate it. And I would eat these fresh bars. Like I would bring like 10 bars to work. I would literally crush them all, you know, throughout the day, like just at my desk at my old job. And that's when I knew that we had something unique. The fact that you can make your own like energy bars at home, like fresh, something that wasn't out there. And that's what intrigued me. It wasn't that we were going to come out with some granola product, you know, even though our product isn't granola. It's just, I could never go into a business if I didn't have something significantly different.
Yeah.
You know,
I gotta say too that something I loved about your product is like you can put it on anything. Like,
yeah,
if you're interested in like let's say you still want to eat some ice cream, you could put that on as toppings and it's delicious. And
Have you been in my watching my house?
No, this guy eats ice cream like crazy.
I'm
No,
a
candy,
giant
actually. Well,
sweet tooth.
But he's a sweet tooth. But it's just like you can even get ice cream, and most of the times what kills you with ice cream, it's toppings. When you put Skittles and you put all that other shit, that's what kills you really.
Not eating the whole you're supposed to, so it's okay to eat the whole gallon? It's not a problem?
It depends. Well, now they only say like 300 calories sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not eating that Halo top. No. I'm getting the real. If I'm eating ice cream, I'm getting the real deal.
Put some Nutsola on it.
My thing is like whenever I eat something that's really sugary, I know it's like, you know, processed sugars, I get like the worst heartburn. And that really affects me because I know it's because of the sugars that's why I get it. So if I eat like a chocolate bar, instantly I know I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Like get like a chocolate lava cake, you know, at like dessert. I'm probably not going to sleep for a while, but yeah, with Nutsola, it doesn't affect me.
When did you know that your product was a standout product? When did you know it was special? Like when did you really know, okay, we have something special here. This is something that sticks out among the rest of the things that are out there.
To be honest, I always believed it. There was nothing that I didn't believe that our product wasn't special because there was nothing on the market. Like no one could make your own energy bars, even though that sounded like such a crazy idea at the time. I really did believe it. I would say from doing like the farmers markets and sampling, then you realize how consumers are using it. And that's kind of how you switch up your marketing scheme and advertise the product, because I learned so much from just our users, the people sampling. Like that's, you know, that was really it.
No, definitely. I gotta say again, man, like for all those listeners out there who have not tried Nutsola, it's definitely one of those products where you gotta get your hands on. And when I say try it, like get one of each flavor. Don't just get one and say, okay,
get them all.
No, get them all. Get a variety.
They're gonna be gone in a week. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Get them all.
Just like Adam said, you know, crushing 10 in a day,
it's possible. He's done it.
Oh, probably
done
more.
it.
But you know, I wanted to ask you with that, what are some of the hardships you've gone through creating this product and getting it out there and pushing out the brand? What are some of those hardships look like? And I want to know from literally the creation of it, the marketing of it, you know, the exposing of it, going to places, like what were the biggest hardships during that process?
I mean, there's so many different steps in the business that I go back and I look at like, what was I thinking? Like it didn't like make any sense. But I'm fortunate that I have my dad who has a lot of experience with manufacturing. So as far as making the product, he's handled that. And, you know, he's so confident in that part. So it's
shout out to Papa Kukoff.
Yeah. He's actually in production right now, which is amazing because we're coming out with our 4th edition packaging, which is pretty similar to what we have, but making some really key adjustments that's going to help retail.
Gotcha. What is it called?
Sorry?
What's it called?
The packaging he's talking about.
Oh, the packaging. I thought you said my bad. I thought you meant new flavor.
No, I have it here. It's
hey, that looks fresh.
Oh, okay.
That looks great.
Different than the ones we get.
It's a little bit different. So the ones you have, that was all about the DIY bar mix, right? This is superfood mix, so we adjusted kind of the marketing there, but we included the ingredients. I don't know if it's like really blurry.
Yeah, no, it's visible.
That's perfect.
That's awesome.
And the product image, which we improved significantly.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
For those of you listening, it's got almonds, dates, cacao powder, coconut, chia seeds, and what's the last one? Nuts. Obviously.
It's spices, but we just use vanilla, like we have vanilla extract, cinnamon, and sea salt.
And for those who are going to visually see this on YouTube or on our videos, tell me that thing does not look sexy.
I'm getting hungry already.
I'm trying. Once you have all the flavors lined up, I mean, it looks.
You know what I love the most? I loved how literally it was ready to go to show on the screen? Like you just literally boop, grabbed it and it was right there.
I actually ran because I have all like I literally work with like all the packaging so I could just like see it visually every day. But we just got this packaging in, so I had to make sure I grabbed it just in case you guys want to see it.
And how important is the packaging, right? Because I've heard that a few times from a few different retailers, but like what is the science or the reasoning behind like why people spend so much time? I mean, obviously visually it makes sense, but is there like a subconscious thing that really goes through people's head when they see the package that matters?
Yeah, well, I've actually spent the most time on the packaging, so good call. Like it's just, imagine, okay, so if I go to farmer's market, like I can actually sell to the person, I can educate the person on the product, right? But if you have it on the shelf at a retail store, you can't talk. There's nothing. Someone's coming by and they're trying to figure out why they should choose your item versus maybe an item they've had for, 10, 15 years. And as a new brand, we're doing something that's really difficult. So I've always wanted to have really vibrant colors and great visualizations and talk about like obviously the key characteristics of the product. And, there's a lot of trial and error. So at first I had a totally different message. Now I think I finally figured out, the best way to communicate our product, because our product is not, we don't advertise it as granola, even though it is in the granola section. Our product's almost like it's in its own category because the ingredients are more like an energy bar than it is a granola with grains and added sugar and fillers, which people are used to. And it's baked. Like our product's not baked.
So does it help that it's in the granola section for selling, or does it not help? Or how do you go about that?
Well, I think it depends on every store is different. There might be like, if you look at like a Sprouts, like I love their superfood aisle, which they have very functional superfoods, which aren't too intimidating, that I think Nutsola fits perfect. But there's other sections where, certain stores are just like, there's like 100 different granola products and it's hard to stand out there. Like, I don't know how any consumer can choose when there's that much, there's that many options.
So. You threw out that term superfood, right? And I mean, we've heard it obviously a million times as I'm sure you have, but for our listeners, who are going into the grocery store, what really goes into making something a superfood, and what is the importance of making sure that you're getting in enough superfoods throughout the day, throughout the week?
Yeah. I mean, I think superfood, it can be definitely a broad, category, but for us, it's really just about clean eating, really functional foods that can help your body. Nothing in there that's going to be a filler, really. But like in the package I just showed you, like cacao, it's like one of the best superfoods. Like it improves your focus.
Yeah, people go crazy over cacao. Whole ceremonies.
It's really amazing. Like I sometimes just eat. It's weird, but like I'll just eat like cacao nibs, like straight.
I like cacao nibs. I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah. So it's completely bitter. There's no sugar in it, but it just gives you like a level of focus. And all of our ingredients are very functional foods to help your body. If it's to metabolize or better energy, especially, if you see like sometimes after like you might eat lunch, like sometimes you get sluggish, like that's a real thing. That's not, and it's because of the foods that you eat and your body's processing sometimes bad sugars, and that's gonna, give you energy and then you crash, and that's not really with our product. So.
Yeah, I like how you added in the word filler there too, right? Like I get that question a lot when my clients ask me about like protein powders. Like, oh, but this tub, like I get a lot more in this tub. Like, but again, right? Did you look at the ingredients? Did you see?
Right.
Did you look at how big the scoop?
Paying for shit.
If the scooper is 100 grams and there's only 20 grams of protein in there, what do you think is in that other 80 grams? Like, it's not just air. There has to be something. So what is it? What else are you putting in your body so that you visually think that you're getting more than you're really getting out of it? So I'm glad you brought that up.
That's what manufacturers do. I mean, they've tricked consumers for a long time on this. It's
save money.
I mean, it's to fill a bag of a granola product, like a normal granola, it's not too expensive, and that's how you get products at $4, retail. So imagine we talked about, they have to sell through, like a distributor, and then the distributor sells to the retailer. Like, how cheap must that product cost if that's what the, you know,
Right.
the retail price is.
So understanding more, which I like this, I understand understanding the way that, you know, the consumer and, you know, what's attractive and the brands and the bags and all that awesome stuff, which I think is important because for anybody listening, starting their own company for anything, you're going to be able to use this as much value. I wanted to ask you, as far as the product goes, what have you seen as far as demographic wise? Who has been your biggest demographic that has really drawn into your product?
Yeah. I mean, I would say young families. Definitely. It's usually moms like shopping for the family, and someone that wants to eat clean and stay away from added sugar. Sometimes there's been an educational process on dates, because like not everyone is like understanding how dates are. It's like the best sugar for you if you're gonna have, you know, something sweet, because of the fiber. It's not like a, you know, like a coconut sugar or a cane sugar where, you know, that's where you get these like, you know, your energy, you know, you spike and then you crash, you know?
So Josh can't eat his candy anymore.
I mean, I love dates. You can't eat too many of them. They're pretty calorically dense, aren't they? I believe so. Yeah,
definitely. But the fiber,
but I want to eat 100 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, like, if you eat a date, like you're not going to crash.
No.
Like, even though it's super sweet, like, you know, you're going to taste it. It's not like, but if you had like a spoonful of like processed sugar, like, yeah, you're going to crash like instantly. So I like doing that comparison sometimes with someone, realizing how great like dates are for you.
And understanding that with the demographic that we talked about, how important has that been in understanding deeply your market in that audience to be able to target them for the growth of your business? When did you really find out that was your demographic, and where did you see the growth when you did start targeting them?
Well, I'd say like everything came from really the farmers markets like that we did early on, where you learn so much about each person that comes, and, you know, what are they interested in, you know, the type of person that's going to be really into like a healthy, like, new product. You know, it's funny, like when I remember being in like New York, it was kind of like a maybe older market where, you know, people weren't as educated about food. The cacao almond was like the least popular up there, but it was the most popular in Miami.
Miami's like what, one of the, if not the number one of the top 5 like healthiest, fittest, you know, cities in America.
2020 got the healthiest, number 1.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, with our product, it's not just for one type of person. Like, this product is for athletes. It's for, and, you know, it's anyone that wants to eat cleaner and stay away from added sugar. And I can guarantee you that
should be everybody.
It should be everyone. And that's one of the difficulties with the product. You know, when you say this target, like, it is very broad, but, you know, I can narrow it down. I just think I want the athletes to be able to use this product. You know, I want, you know, it's because that's who I was. Like, I was always like I was playing every sport growing up, and I always cared about the ingredients I was putting in my body. And when my dad started making it, like, you know, it was huge for me, because like I would always work out every day, you know, play you know, basketball, whatever, baseball, soccer, whatever it is.
Favorite sport? What was it?
Baseball.
Okay.
Sure.
What position did you play?
I was middle infield, so short and second.
There you go.
You guys play? What was your sports?
I was a catcher until high school, and then they realized, why do we have a lefty behind home plate? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Then they moved. And I was fast around the bases, but, you know, very, very fat. So for me, they're like, we're gonna put you at first base. You'll be fine there. You got a glove.
That's the unfortunate part about being a lefty in baseball. You could play like 4 positions or 5.
Yeah, but the best was that I played in upstate New York, so there weren't a whole lot of athleticism, a whole lot of athletic kids to begin with. And as you probably know, you put the least athletic kid in right field every time.
Yeah.
Every coach will tell you put the least athletic, because there's not that many lefties. So I would my whole goal was like, every time I started to play, like, okay, just get it over the right fielder's head. If I get it over his head, I got at least a triple every time.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, upstate there's not that much sunlight usually for baseball season.
No, it's very cold in the spring. Tell you that much.
Yeah, I've obviously played baseball since I was little, being Cuban, but I stopped when I went into 9th grade. I had to choose. You know, I had to choose between. I played every sport, but I had to choose between football, basketball, and baseball. I went with
Yeah.
football. Stuck to football. Did wrestling too. So those were my 2 high school sports that I
You
played.
probably love putting on that leotard.
I loved it. You should have been there and seen me.
I think I'd still be having nightmares if I saw you.
Yeah.
Now, definitely with the beard and everything, I'd freak out.
Yeah, maybe get back into it. Who knows?
Maybe
Yeah,
Halloween's coming up. You never know.
Yeah.
I might go in there and surprise you at your apartment?
Oh my God, I'd die.
Yeah,
I would die.
Yeah.
What if I brought a bag of Nutsola?
Then
Yeah.
I just grab the
Yeah.
bag and then slam the door
Yeah.
in your face.
Yeah.
I'd be like, thanks, man.
You
Yeah.
have to wrestle me for it.
Yeah,
With
no,
the leotard
no,
on.
just blow your knee out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, we had mentioned COVID before. Obviously, we've been talking about your processes, getting started and who you're targeting, everything. What are some ways? I mean, you also mentioned, like the sealable, trial packs. What are some other things that you guys have been doing, and where do you kind of see the business moving forward in this kind of, I hate using this term, but this like new normal that we're in?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, we still have a heavy focus on retail and getting into stores because things are opening up. I mean, as crazy times are, I mean, people want to get out. They want to, want to shop. We put a heavy
food.
yeah,
Good food.
So what we've been doing is, we've worked with some sales and merchandising teams to help get us in more stores across the country. And we're kind of geographically located. So we try to do like the Northeast, New England, and then we have SoCal, which is that could be like the best market for us.
Which I was going to ask you that.
And then, in South Florida, we're in like Milam's, which is a great, chain. Really, like, it's really dictating off this packaging that we have because we switched from a 10 ounce to an 8 ounce, lower price point. And that's one of the things like I would recommend to anyone is know your price, know what the market will pay for the product and have it, at a point where it's going to move in the store, because it's different once in the store versus, selling at a market, completely different. So that's something that we've learned kind of the hard way, but now we have the opportunity to sell to any major retailer across the country and really see the business just,
You feel like people buy more or buy in bigger bulk when they go to farmers markets and stuff like that because it's fresh or in general, I would say, but obviously your products are different.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has like a price mark. There's nothing to compare, right? So you're going there, you're supporting a local business because you feel good about doing that. It's a totally different scenario.
Yeah, I go to the farmer's market to get a lot of food and eat it there and then buy more and take it
home. But for sure, it is a freshness thing. You go to a farmer's market, and I hate calling it like a farmer's market because like markets I go, there's no like,
I don't see a lot of actual farmers there.
Yeah, I think of it as
Aren't you a farmer, Josh? Weren't you a farmer?
I used to work on a couple farms. Baling hay, though. I baled hay.
Yeah. I think of it as your like store for the day. So it's really cheap to own your store for the day, and you can have all customers come through, and you can, ask them if they want to try. So I mean, that's kind of the way I think of it.
So how long now have you fully been operating with Nutsola as a legit? I know your dad you've been making these since 2012 with your dad, but legit as a business, because obviously it shows you've gone through a process, ups and downs, trials and errors, trying different things, but you never gave up. And I think that's one of the most important things that I think our listeners can take away here too, is that you guys have not given up and you continue to push even during COVID, all these, trial and errors, and going from a moment where you're like, man, testing all these things out in California, where you were literally doing Airbnbs and saying you were attending some great shows and exhibitions, and boom, you get hit. But you still got up and you kept going. You never gave up on your brand and on your vision, and having that spirit. So, how long you guys been operating, and what's really kept you, besides knowing that your product's amazing, what's kept you moving? What's kept you saying, you know what, this is why we got to keep pushing during these times?
So we launched a Kickstarter, which I didn't mention. That's like how we got our, the hype up with our business. We didn't really have our website, but it's a great platform to like bring friends and family to, to support. That was in January 2019. Okay. And then we became fully operative in June of 2019. So since then, say that whole first year, we were just doing the markets, sampling the product, and then we started retail this February. So couldn't be a worse time to probably start in retail. Like think about it. But
Hey, but
you know,
a lot of learning lessons from that, right? You got the hard
Oh my
part out of
God.
the way.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Well, our product, it's, you know, I think our product, it's pandemic proof. Like, you know, people they want to be healthier even before that, you know.
Yeah, a
it's
lot of more
obviously-
people snacking, right?
Yep.
You know?
Hey,
yeah.
snack on good shit and protect your immune system.
I mean, people were starting to care more about ingredients. Like, this was already a trend. You look with RX Bar, how they put the ingredients on the front of the package, you know. With our product, you know, we're coming in with like a new kind of category of, like, for instance, in the granola aisle.
Right.
So, you know, I think, you know, it's just honestly a matter of time, you know, before things start to open up. And there's never been a scenario where I actually thought our business wouldn't do well. It's just, I know there's a grind that just takes every day. And I have like an addiction to that. Like, it doesn't stop. I never get bored ever. There's always something new, and you kind of, you learn from your mistakes. That's the key, is like, I'm for failing as much as you can, because you always know, if you're a smart, you know, business person, you know you have to correct it instantly, be like swift on your feet, and you know, make that next decision, right?
And if you're not a smart business person, how can they start getting smarter?
I mean,
Fail more.
Well, you fail more, but I think you gotta test things, right? You gotta learn from people. You know, there's a wealth of knowledge out there. You know, you can go, depending on what you're interested in doing, you know, just, you know, go to YouTube and like start watching some
YouTube,
stuff.
Google, find the mentor, go anywhere. We have it. No excuses.
Yeah.
I taught myself Excel on YouTube.
I bet, dude. I taught myself so many. Final Cut Pro.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not an Excel wizard by any means, but you know, I can do a decent sized VLOOKUP if I have to, you know.
I'm pretty,
I learned how to edit
yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
When I first started doing videos and Final Cut Pro, learn on YouTube.
Yeah.
Done. You'd be surprised how much stuff you can actually learn.
Yeah. I think one thing I miss though is, like, you know, we're building this retail strategy, but really I'm trying to grow our direct consumer business. So like on our website. And the reason for that is because we can build a genuine relationship with every customer. And there's so much detail that goes into selling on your site. It's not as easy as just having a site.
Gotcha.
Like, you need to have your communication, all the automation up and running. You need to have your price point so you can advertise. We didn't have our price point ready for pretty much the entire, you know, first year. So there are things we tried and we weren't getting ROI, but, you know, you see brands that have done it well, and you can kind of emulate that and put that in your own, you know, flavor. Like, no pun intended, but like, you know.
Right. Great pun though.
Yeah, great pun.
Yeah. You know, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
All good.
I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Because it is a big fear itself is, you know, crippling to a lot of people, right? And like, oh, I don't want to fail, or, you know, and we mention it all the time. Like, you have to fail. You have to fail, and you have to, as you mentioned, right? You have to be able to learn from those failures swiftly, and then make a unilateral decision or whatever decision it may be, and run with it, you know, and not look back, because it's like, okay, I got to try this out now. And okay, if this doesn't work well, then I move on. What would you say are, I mean, you kind of touched upon some of those, but what would you say has been like the biggest learning experience as you started to build out this direct to consumer business? Because I feel like a lot of our listeners at home are probably, you know, with the COVID era, trying to figure out for themselves, you know, how they're going to go about selling their product directly to their consumer.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to first off understand the platform that you're selling on. So we use Shopify, which is pretty amazing platform, and they have so many resources that you can have to, you know, to improve the customer experience. One thing I've been harping on to like our team here is, you know, Amazon has done this the best out of any online business as far as the consumer shopping experience. They get every customer come on, they can order whatever type of product they want within like a couple seconds. And Shopify is trying to improve that. They're trying to match that. And you see more consumers they're more comfortable with shopping on like a Shopify site, like very, very quick process. So that's one thing that you kind of learn the hard way, is just, that's such an important part of the experience for a consumer. I would say another is just know your messaging. One thing that, because our product has evolved over time, it was very difficult. And, you know, I think our product's maybe a little different than, you know, if someone's listening, you know, they might know exactly what the product is, and, they don't have to go through this step. But for us, we had to change the messaging over time and kind of explain the product, because our early Kickstarter backers knew our product completely different from what it is today. So that, and then pricing, really understand your margins. Because if you want to be able to scale your business, you're going to have to be able to advertise to get traffic to your site. And that's, that you need to make sure you have enough money to play with so you can be profitable. Because,
I really think you hit on some really big, important points there. And I definitely know a lot of people are going to be able to use that for their own side hustle, business, full-time job, whatever it is that they're going to be doing. There's one thing you mentioned there, and you mentioned team. I wanted to ask you, how big is your team, and how important has it been for you to be able to build a team? Because it obviously sounds and it shows that you're doing a lot. And from everything we're hearing, there's a lot of different things going on. And I'm sure you've played a lot of different hats in this process. But how big is your team, and how important is it to have a team, and how big do you want your team to get?
Well, team is the most important thing in growing your business. Like, there's not one person that could say they could just do everything themselves, right? I mean, this comes from playing sports. Like, you guys know, like, having, your teammates, that collaboration, the energy, having different viewpoints on things, like, that's all part of the team. So the team, my dad and I, we're the co-founders. And then I have a social media manager, Maria, who's been amazing. And I've had other people to help throughout the journey. But then we added a bunch of interns. Like, I have 3 from Syracuse who are helping out big time.
Shout out.
Yeah. And then I got a couple others that are helping. And I outsource a lot of work. So this is not like talking like full-time people. Like, as a startup business, like, you can't afford to pay full-time until you,
for sure,
start scaling the business. And I think we're close to that. But, still, like, I'm not trying to spend money. I'm trying to invest everything back into the business. But the team, everyone is so supportive, even if it's outsourced work. I consider them a part of our team because they're going through our journey. They understand our product, our style, branding, and just having this kind of community of people who support the business is just so essential, because without them,
100%.
there's no way you could handle social media to sales to packaging. I mean, it's
we
endless.
understand.
We understand. We're in that process right now.
Yeah.
So
it's wild how much work, like, once you get into, like, especially the retail business, it's like, wow, like, it's just a whole other world that you didn't have before, but now you have to manage, e-com and Amazon that we're on. It's a lot of stuff. So I'm very thankful to have the team that I have.
No, that's amazing. And I also wanted to ask you real quick, I know you're talking about you also outsource. What are the best ways for people to start looking for help? Where can they look for help? Where can they outsource, whatever work they need done, so that way they're not carrying all that weight on themselves?
Well, I think the most important thing to know is, like, what are you good at? What can you do? Because there's certain things that people are just incapable of doing. And if they try to do it, they're probably going to spend way too much time. And it's going to really hurt production in their, for themselves. Like, as far as like any type of website, where, like, Shopify, like, I outsource Shopify and email marketing, which we started a partner with a new company. Like, that's so essential to have this automation set up. And we had something, but we moved on from another company that didn't do as good of a job. And you realize that you got to be very careful of who you're working with, because there's a lot of people that claim to be experts, and they, sometimes they just want your money and they don't really care about,
it's true,
the health of your business. But yeah, that's it. I think you just need to look and say, like, maybe I hate doing something. You surely should find something for that, because you're going to be miserable trying to figure out something that you're not good at.
So when do you also know, because I know you also get the notion where it's like I get it. There's always going to be, things that you don't like to do in your job, but you also have to do certain things because the result of what you love doing is that.
Yeah.
So when do you know when it's to the point where it's like you said, I know you said the word hate, where it's like, okay, I really need to get this off, but at the same time, maybe you don't like doing something, but you should do it right now. So I need to get doing it. Where do you find that fine line of like, okay, even if I don't like it, I know I need to do it, but okay, this right now I need to pass it on, because I know that happens a lot. And some people just be like, oh, I don't like doing this, so this is not for me. And it's just not, no, it's just, you just don't want to put in the work.
Yeah. I mean,
so
I
where
think
do you find that?
I think it, there's certain things that you just have to push through. There's no magic to it. It's just like, I'm just have to grind this out, whatever it takes. And then, you feel good. You got it off your plate. I don't think it's, I just think the productivity level like is so crucial to your success. You can't be wasting time on things that you're not good at. It's one thing if you're not good at something. It's another thing if you're just like lazy and don't want to do it. Like
Sure.
I think it's two different things. You want to have the best people at their specific task, and that's the way you're able to grow, because like people are going to be so much better than you at something. I could be just marginal at a lot of things, but like if I find people that are great, that's just going to help the business, dramatically. So that's the way I look at it.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned and some of the characteristic in the people that you do want to work with you as that kind of middleman or outsource person that you go to? What are those characteristics and what are some of the lessons that you've learned, by hiring people that maybe don't get the job done?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that go into it because, they have to really understand where we're coming from. That's most important. Like we're a startup business. We're not some established corporation that's been around for 10, 15 years that has this, this huge budget that could just spend and don't worry if they're, generating ROI or not, more of a gamble. But I mean, that's the first thing I look for. And you kind of know when someone's kind of like BSing you. I mean, I just have like a good feeling for that. But you honestly, you don't know until you try, and there has to be some type of gamble because there's no guarantees in anything, but you hope that you have someone that, like someone that I have, someone that does our packaging that we were together since inception. So from the first logo designs that are just like, can't even believe like some of these that I was like choosing between, I was like, my God, like, really bad, it's just, I trust this type of person because we know each other from the start. He understood where we were at that stage and, helps us as we grow.
Awesome. It's we're almost at that hour mark, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're busy. You probably have to get back to work, but I want to thank you, Adam, for coming on. It's awesome to hear that, you're like me, a fellow Syracuse grad.
Yeah.
Always
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Hey,
it's crazy.
I'm like an onion, man. I got a bunch of layers. I want to take the time to appreciate and say thank you for coming on and sharing your story. And for all of our listeners, I know Menda's going to have a couple of questions, but for all of our listeners, go to Amazon. You guys have your website up now already?
Yeah, we sold out of our last product, but when this is probably live, we'll have everything back up. So
great. What's the website? So and where can people find you guys on social media?
Yeah, so our website is nutsola.com. That's like NUTSOLA.com. And we have Instagram and TikTok. You could just search like Nutsola official and you'll find our product if someone stole our name, unfortunately. But yeah. Trying to get that check mark, it just takes time,
man. Takes time. We talk about that check mark.
I'm like, how do you get it? They're like, oh, you just apply. I'm like,
apply, but you need a ton of publication and press that's on the outside portion. You got to get on a ton of that. You got to at least have.
I hear him like every other day, like, man, really I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard.
20 credible ones. You got to pop up on that Google search.
And then you see some people, you're like, how the fuck did you get that thing? Like,
exactly.
I'm like, you came on a TV show or you popped up on an appearance and that got it for you. So
it's amazing how they kind of, put that type of prestigious like check mark for things. It's
all visual with most people, man. They just want to have a box to put you in.
Yeah.
Blue check mark. You're legit. All right. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, brother, I got to say again, we really appreciate it. And I'm going to hit you with some questions, but we really appreciate it. And really love, especially meeting you for the first time back in November of 2019 to where you are now in a year and a half. It's been amazing to see your process, your growth and all that. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
No, thank you for having me. I mean, to me, like our business is literally just starting. Like it doesn't seem like we've gotten anywhere yet, to be honest. I mean, if I could help anyone, I would love to. Anyone could just reach out to me.
Appreciate that.
I'm happy to share whatever information I can, but I think you just have to grind and you just learn from experiences, and that's really how I take my day to day.
Awesome, brother. So I'm gonna hit you with some really quick rapid fire questions right here.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Nutsola flavor?
Ooh, Banana nut has been my favorite. And
It's been my favorite too.
but the crazy thing, it's been the least favorite amongst all of them. I think it's because banana. I think because people just don't like banana.
I do the banana nut drives me nuts. Number 2, I was gonna ask you, what is the one you recommend to everybody to try first?
Vanilla almond is the most neutral. It goes well with literally anything. If you're a chocolate lover, cacao almond is incredible. And then peanut butter. People become more obsessed over peanut butter. Like we've been out of peanut butter once, and there are people that order 10 bags at a time. Like just like add it.
I like throwing some of that into the smoothie right before I finish I take it off the blender, throw it in real quick, just blend it, give it one little blast, so it's still a little. Crunchy.
You'll see how versatile it is, because you can use it for breakfast, or that sweet tooth. Replace those bad sugars with Nutsola. Like you're eating dates. You're not going to have this type of like sleep troubles or energy spikes. It's really a great replacement.
Next one. What's the craziest way that you've seen people use your Nutsola product?
I think when I first saw like the cheesecake crust, like they're making like pies with crust. I was like,
Jenny, if you're listening, we better have a Nutsola cheesecake here.
There's been some crazy things though. No joke. I was trying to hold off all these kind of crazy recipes. At first I'm like, well, no, we were like a DIY bar. Like we're not like all this crazy stuff. But then the reason why, it's because Nutsola can almost act like Play-Doh in how it can mold and.
You got to come out with a cookbook, man.
Oof. We have one, but we're trying to build it up. If you go to our tag photos, it's like it could be our page. Like these, like the influencers and they're creating these unbelievable like dessert items, breakfast items. It's like it's so creative, our product, and that's what I love about like our community.
Love it. Last question. What's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today?
Just honestly, I think anyone can be successful if they grind it out every single day. You learn from your mistakes. I think testing, like when we do farmers markets, if you want to start a food business, like literally just sample all day, learn about your customers. I know it was a few things, but I think those things are really important, for success.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam.
Really
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Guys, you heard it from Adam himself. Go and grind.
Go Qs.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Go Qs.
Jeez, I'm about to get my Q diploma soon.
Yeah, we got to get you a jersey or something.
Oh, we're going to get a couple of them. Don't worry. I got to get one for the Qs Miami games down here. All right, everyone. Until next time.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.